All right, hi everyone. You can all hear me? Thank you for coming. So glad to be here today with my friends Matt and Hannah to talk to you about, and with you hopefully, about what content creators and indies can do to support one another, what the landscape looks like for content creation, what it looks like for indie developers, and where we can find collaboration and good sweet spot for making cool things together. Let's give you just a bit of context about who we are. My name's Hannah Flynn. I'm Communications Director at Failbetter Games. We're an independent studio. We've been going for 15 years almost. This is like my 10th develop. Like, hold me up. And for context, we are self-funded, small. There are 14 of us. We have a live service browser game, Fallen London, and then we release in the same universe premium games every few years. So I occasionally have need to call upon content creators to help me launch those games. So I've done that a few times down the years, and I've seen the scene has really changed. So we want to kind of touch today on what's the latest thing with my colleagues, Matt and Hannah. Matt, to you.
I'm Matt, also known as the Wobbly Gamer. I'm a visually impaired content creator and accessibility consultant. And over to you.
Oh, hello. I am also Hannah, but you can also call me Lom or Lomadia, which is my online name, if that's easier, because 2 Hannahs, it's a lot. I have been doing content for over 15 years, YouTube and Twitch. I am a Twitch ambassador. I'm part of the Women's Guild, but I'm also a charity consultant that's trying to work in the space to teach charities good practices so that they know what to look for and what to build into campaigns to work with content creators. Because at the moment, that is not a thing that's happening. There's a lot of predatory practices. And I'm also trying to work with creators so that they know what to look for. So try and bridge those gaps.
Cool. So we have some slides, but this is a panel that was almost kind of pitched as a roundtable as well. So if you have questions and thoughts at any point, like wave, we'll get you a mic, we'll clarify, we'll add. We just want to cover as much as we can to make it as useful as possible to who's here. I'd like to check who is working in-house at like a big studio on marketing, comms, community type stuff, or whatever it is you do. Who's like in a largish studio, and who is in an indie studio? Cool, excellent. And who is like a freelance creator? Anyone? Okay, more indies than creators. Cool. That just helps me kind of pitch what I'm saying. But the conference title did bring the right people. Excellent. Okay. Maybe we all know this, but why should devs work with content creators to promote their games? For our part, we don't necessarily make games that play well on like a show floor. They're quite quiet. And as you can hear, events are not necessarily a good environment for them. Where we've really seen them thrive is with content creators who really love storytelling and doing voices. Our games, Sunless Skies, our most recent kind of really streamable game, has more words in it than the King James Bible. So we've got lots of people playing it who wanted to read, and their kind of integration and passion for what we were making absolutely had a measurable effect on the launch of the game and its long tail as well. So it's also for me, and something that we want to kind of talk about philosophically, is about how to protect and promote grassroots creation, both on the indie game creation side and the content creator side. There's a developer out of America called Xavier Nelson, who you might follow from Strange Scaffold. Lots of nodding. Yeah, he's a real big figure at the minute. His TikTok's great. But he used this phrase like, you can't have a plant if you don't water the ground. And I think of this a lot as watering the ground, like working with smaller creators, making sure that the community has resources and has budget and receives money for doing what they're doing is really important to me. To other of you, what would you say?
Because we play your games. It sounds stupid, but we do. If you work with us, we're the ones that are going to play your games, especially if you come to us in our field of games that we play the most. So we're going to have an experience in your game. We're going to know how to play your game, and we're going to have a community that will typically play the same genre of games as us.
Yeah, basically that.
Yeah.
The main issue at the moment in the space is people have gone back to what we started out with in like 15 years ago of the CPMs, right? The views. That doesn't always convert into actual authentic engagement, purchasing, etc. And actually, if you're going, oh, I've got an indie game and I want to pay that massive creator a lot of money, don't do that. Please don't do that, because they have so much money. And also, if you say let's say $20,000, right? It's probably a lot for indie campaign stuff, activations. If you pay that to one creator for 2 hours, and that is the budget of a AAA game being played by a Twitch streamer who's quite big, if you split that across 20 creators, that's 20 creators who can pay their bills, but also potentially 20 creators who are authentically engaged in your content that want to play it anyway. And yeah, like, we are here and we want to play your stuff. If we have an actual interest, like, we're gamers, you know, like, people forget that somewhere in there we got into this because we like doing gaming. So please talk to us, please work with us, because sometimes we have ideas for campaigns as well that you may not have thought of, or just things that work, right?
Yeah. And communities ourselves, our communities are more likely to react to us personally if it's a smaller content creator.
Yes.
They will more. I've got more chance of, honestly, if my community likes playing my game, likes me playing your game, I've got more of an impact to them because I have a smaller community. We're tight knit, and if I say to them, "Oh my God, you need to go buy this game," there's a more chance of them buying the game than the 1,000 people that a huge content creator has said to go play the game because they've just played it for the sake of the money.
Yeah, and there is not always the case. Some will have actual proper, like, I love this game, I want to play it, let's go. But 9 times out of 10, people aren't looking at that. They're just looking at numbers. And it just means that, yeah, okay, you'll get your 2 hour, 3 hour stream, but then have fun. Like, there'll be no follow up. That's it. The audience won't get anything. If you pick the right people and the right creators, you might get a full playthrough. You might get people going, I've got to go now because I've got to go and buy this. Like, I have people who, for example, very recent indie games have, like, let's say Still Wakes the Deep, right? Like, that's basically, we say that's indie. It's blooming gorgeous. I have people who come in and go, I've bought this because I saw you play 10 minutes and I can't stay now because I need to go play it by. Yeah. It's like, I love that. Like, okay, you're not watching me, but you'll come back and watch the VOD later when you've seen what happens so you can see what happens to me. And so, yeah, like, that authentic, if you get it right, it's awesome.
There is no better promotion than watching someone enjoying your game.
Our communities also trust us.
Yes, this is something like we've both, and not every creator will do this, absolutely. And this is where, as it gets bigger, you can't monitor your community, right? No. It's just a scrolling text feed. Yeah. We care about our community. We also think that if we're going to use the ASA guidelines, we're influencers. We have a responsibility to our audience, to our community, to make sure that that is a safe space, not wanting to necessarily use that, but it's a space where they can feel welcome. We can play games together. We can experience things. And so, like, I don't take any old game. I take games that I actually would like to play. And sometimes those games will come into my inbox and I'll have never heard of them because there are so many games, but I'll look at it and I'll go, yes, like, this is so me. Yes, yes, yes. Let's chat. Yeah, that's the bit we want, basically. And
for myself inside the disabled community, a lot of my viewers are disabled, and if there's not many games that a lot of them can play because they're visually impaired or blind. So what happens when I get a game that I can play? They instantaneously go, well, if you can play it, they'll ask the questions and go, with my vision, if you know me, because I do know them, because they're part of my community, will I be able to play that game? And I will be honest and say yes or no. And if I say yes, there is a very highly likely chance they're going to go and purchase that game because of my opinions as an accessibility consultant and someone inside the disabled space. If you find the right people to promote your games, they will find the right community.
Absolutely. Yeah. Don't overlook niche communities.
No.
Yeah. Right. So you've both said that you are also consultants on various things. So I wanted to kind of elucidate for everyone who is like, I've never approached a streamer. I don't know how this all works. Like, how does if you don't mind laying bare a little bit of your lives, how does that, like, what are your income streams and how do you make it work for you so you can do this for a living?
I am an accessibility consultant first, content creator second, because unfortunately the money in the content creation space is nowhere near compared to what there is in the consulting space. And I have to rely on the consulting space to create the community, to create my content. Without the consultancy, there would be no content in my books.
Yeah. So I'm almost the other way around because I got into content creation. I left uni into the economic crash, right? So I was sitting around, what do I do? I will just do some YouTube whilst we wait for the job centre and all the applications to maybe come back with something. And then that never kind of went anywhere. In the end, I ended up going full time as a content creator. We're talking like the 2010s, 2011s, by the way, in terms of like old. So I've seen where content's gone throughout the years and all of that. And basically, like, I've done so much charity stuff just organically as part of my content, that as we started to approach like the last couple of years, there's been this movement away from authentic stuff once again into the numbers, the views. And as a result, less offers across the board. Everyone is so focused on the big names. And so they go to those, right? We've also had various other distractions, such as, you know, AI in gaming, NFTs, all of that, which we'll probably come back to in a minute. But as a result of that, it's like I was very aware that last year, like, we're in a cost of living crisis, right? I rely on my audience to support me. I do rely on ad revenue a little bit, but that's pants, right? Because no one's buying ads. So obviously the cost has gone down. So I'm relying on an audience that's also in a cost of living crisis to subscribe to the channel, to give me some sort of money. And that's asking a lot, because it's just, it diminishes and it diminishes and it puts pressure on everybody. And like, to the extent that, yeah, I started a charity consultancy, because it's like, what can I do with my skill set that isn't content creation, but is related? And so that is basically the thing that at the moment is still being set up. It's in the early days. I've been doing it for like 6 months. And that has to pay the bills, because if that doesn't pay the bills, I can't do content creation for that much longer, because those brand deals aren't coming in. And for a lot of creators, the brand deals are the bit that keep you out of the red in your overdraft, right? In terms of like my subscriber base, I've got quite a healthy subscriber base. I've got what would be considered the on Twitch, like the tier of the partner program or the plus program, what it's called, where I get a higher rate of pay. That still works out as about $800 a month, right? And that's like busting my butt to do that. And I could try and push it. I could try and do clickbait to get more engagement, but then that's not me. That's not my audience. That's a portrayal. Like, it is straight up like, it's, what's the point of working on a brand, you know, yourself, your community, your channel, to then be like, we won't do that. And so, yeah, it's like that charity consultancy thing is the thing that needs to kind of do well in order to continue making content. And I've always said as well, if someone paid me a fixed amount to make content every month, we'd still make content, but I would do fundraising. Yeah, I'd use that space for that. So it's like, it's not a case of me going, I want to give up the space. I want to go and find another job. I want to make something work. But I'm in a very lucky position when I have that skill set. There are a lot of creators who are also doing a second job, right? Who are just, you know, it could be anything. And they're trying to make it so that creation can be their full-time job. But the money is not there at the moment because of everyone struggling.
And the volatile nature of the beast. It's, it's so volatile. But I'm, to come from Hannah's side of things, on the other side round. I started the consultancy a few years ago after I found out I was losing my vision. Just wanted to still be able to play video games. So then started working with video games companies. And then kind of that slowed down a little bit. And I was like, right, I need to get my name out there. How can I do this? And then kind of got into content creating to do that and raise my own brand, basically. And then sat there and went, okay, getting to the content creation point, people started to come through the door, and so was the consulting. And I was like, I'm going to have to start sacrificing content creation for consulting, because the money was not there for the content creation, because I'm a smaller streamer. I don't have the numbers. If a company comes to me and straight away goes, how many viewers have you got? I will just turn around and go, don't bother.
We do have a section called Red Flags that mentions that.
Because you aren't coming to me then for me, you're coming to me for my numbers. And I'm not going to work with you for that. I'm quite blunt about it, also, as an advocate.
Also, quite often, the numbers mean that you get offered something that is below not just like living wage, it's below the legal wage per hour, right? It's, if you were offered that in any other circumstance, you would probably feel quite gross. You'd probably feel quite disrespected. And again, I get we're in a cost of living crisis, etc. But it's like, if you're going to do this stuff, you need to make an offer that actually makes people feel like they are human, shall we say. But
it incentivizes like churning content out. Right?
Yeah, 100%.
Here you go, asking about channel views.
Sorry.
Don't go to a content creator and ask them what their hard numbers are. we talked a little bit in advance to come up with a few of these. We thought there are oftentimes, is there anybody here from TikTok? Okay, maybe they'll watch this later. There are these things on TikTok. This is like, it's just an interesting thing because it came up in our preparations that TikTok has these kind of bounty formed opportunities if you make gaming content, where you can sign on to make a video about a game, and the content controls list is in the back end, and you have all these things you have to say for the video to pass muster. Noting you don't have to have played it for, you just have to say X, Y, and Z talking points. And then if you get your video done and approved, then you get a share of a bounty of X many $1,000s. And then everybody who makes a video will take some of that bounty until it's all gone. And that's kind of how TikTok ad campaigns are set up. So if you, as like an indie game creator, I don't want that kind of content made about my games.
I should also add, it's not something I've ever seen. I've never been offered a bounty, so I don't know where they're offering these bounties.
I don't know why it's coming to me as a game, like an account that's obviously a game developer, but I was like, oh, could I make some money for the studio here? Oh, no, I'm not going to. But the list of like stipulations and provisos is really long, and then you could make a whole video and it wouldn't pass muster anyway, and it was, gross. Being dishonest about budget, or like coming with like hard budget negotiation hat on. I think the one thing that's coming up so far and what we've said is about authenticity. And like if you have next to no money to promote your game, you would probably, as I understand, do better to find a creator who would really like it, who might be able to do something for you for a modest, short, like a small piece of content for a modest amount of money, rather than pinning all of your hopes, as Hannah was saying, on a much larger creator. And the final flag is not having watched the channel or knowing the output of the creator that's a trap, isn't it? Because as an indie developer, like I do marketing, advertising, social media events, everything for Failbetter in the kind of comms mix. I also work short days because I'm a parent, so I physically don't have the time in the day to find people often. But I would never approach somebody who I hadn't watched their channel. But like something I feel like has changed since we released Summer Skies is that I did have a list of like 150 people who showed a vague interest, and I did just send keys to all of them, and most of them did like pick it up just because. And I feel like that maybe isn't a thing anymore. Like, what do you think?
It's a mixed bag. So like, straight up, we can tell if you have not watched our content. Like,
it's easy.
Like you can pretend until the cows come home, but your emails will be riddled with things. I've had people who are like, I love your content. I had a lovely time in your stream today. And I'm like, oh, cool. What games do you like? What games do you like is always the kicker. I've had people copy paste like the name of a YouTube video back to me, like fully. So it's like Far Cry Primal Alpha gameplay. And I'm like, who copies that as a reply? What are you doing? And we can tell, like at this point, we can tell if you haven't engaged with our stuff. And like I do that from the charity consultant side. I'm trying to find actual matches for charities that synergize. So like one of the charities I work with has like a suicide hotline and works with mental health. Of course, I'm going to try and talk to creators who advocate for mental health in their content. I'm also not going to go kicking in the door going, hi, I really like your stuff. But I haven't looked at what you've done. Like, and it's not, I'm not saying you need to watch hours and hours of stuff. Look in, pop in. If they're live, brilliant. You don't necessarily need to say anything. In fact, actually, it's probably better if you don't, because then you put people under pressure. 100%. The creator feels really anxious because they're like, oh, there's now a dev. What do I do? Am I now stuck in the situation of I have to acknowledge you? So I either have to tell you to go away live or email. There's a conversation.
You end up trying to have a professional conversation over a stream, and it doesn't work.
It doesn't work
at all.
It just means sometimes you let your ass hang out, right?
Yep.
So emails.
100%.
You've had synergy, and then you've let your ass hang out within like 3 sentences. Oh, yes. I love that.
Yeah. Thanks, ADHD. So if you're gonna look, you can look at stuff. Just have a rummage through their channels. Look at their highlights or their past broadcasts. See what they've done. Obviously, there's things like Sully Gnome, which you can have a little browser as well. But if you're only looking at that, you're not even looking at the channel, then like stop doing that. Go to these channels, look at them. Also, look at how they interact with their communities, the comments section, because another thing that is quite frustrating is the moment is not only are we going for big creators, but a lot of brands are going for big creators who are quite problematic for different reasons.
Yeah.
And we can all see that, but they're still going for numbers.
Yeah. It's just the numbers.
Yeah.
It's so bad.
Things
It's
like
so 10 years ago, isn't it?
Yes,
to put it
things
bluntly.
things like the community reveal a lot about that creator, because they either are too big to care about their community,
don't
and
react to
manage it,
chat, or
or
don't
they
answer
don't react to chat,
questions,
or they don't, again, cultivate something that is supposed to be an inclusive space.
Yeah.
And like, if I'm working and I'm looking through creators and I see a very, like, let's say, borderline questionable chat where it's like there's a no politics rule, and we're saying no politics as in like, I don't want to have to deal with this.
Yeah, that's
red flag.
Yeah, 100% a red flag. And it's about dealing with the right people in the right spaces.
Yeah.
And also, if someone, you go into a chat that's got thousands of people chatting and they're asking a question about the game that they're playing, that you're paying them to promote, they're going to miss that question. They're not going to answer that question. And that person's going to go, well, I might have bought this game if you answered that question, but now I don't know if I can play that game, especially in my community, or I don't know if I'm interested in this game, or I don't know about the game because I've joined the stream halfway through. Yeah. They miss that question because there's thousands of people talking. Your game sale's gone because if one person's not reacting to his chat.
And it's worth noting that there are some creators out there who have massive channels who can do all this.
Yeah, there is people that do it really well.
Yeah, there's people who do think about this, but there's also some who don't. And this is why it's important to look at how they handle all those interactions as well as their content.
And comment sections on YouTube,
yes,
and social medias.
Twitter hiding likes is a serious problem for everybody, because that used to out quite a lot of bigotry just by a little browse.
Yeah, you could go through someone's likes. Even you can just go through their followers these days, and you will see straight away what their community is by doing that. And if you want your game promoted in that space, because at the end of the day, people are going to go into that space because they're playing that game, see that toxic community and go, well, I'm not going to play that game because that person's playing it and they're an arsehole, to put it bluntly.
Yeah.
Can we talk a bit about the platforms that kind of mediate or partner between streamers and indies, and what you think about using them?
Don't use Kick.
Yeah, don't
use Kick, please.
Especially if you are somebody who is creating a game about the environment or climate change.
Or any decent
or gambling. Like, what are you doing? Like, at some point, that entire thing is going to fall apart and there's going to be a legal case.
And everyone's going to go down with it.
Yes, right? Please look after yourselves, because the amount of, once again, this is the same, it goes back into the same thing of just numbers and massive creators. And then no due diligence, and here we go. Like, now your game is associated forever with
Kick.
X, Y, and Z. And then also, Kick, where we've actually, if you're not up on Kick, there's already been quite a lot of illegal activity that's been broadcast on it, and you don't want to be involved.
Yeah, you don't want that at all. Whereas at least Twitch is moderated.
Like they're not every site is perfect.
No one's perfect. No, I'm not.
I'm a Twitch ambassador, right? The site needs work, always needs work.
Yep.
But Twitch is the only one, again, I've been doing this for 15 years. Twitch is the only one that seems to actually attempt it. It's not perfect.
No,
they have a long way to
far
go.
from perfect,
but that's why Twitch ambassadors exist, to just go and annoy them, right? That's literally what I do. Is like last year, accidentally ambushed the CEO on his live stream to ask if my friend could use the disabled toilets. And I will continue to be an absolute menace like that. So, that's the kind of thing I want, right?
Yeah. Get in some trouble.
And also, like, my very lovely friend Radders, who is also a Twitch ambassador, off the back of all of that, basically ended up working with them for this year's TwitchCon to try and make accessibility better. Again, not perfect, but a massive, massive improvement. So, like, those spaces, they do seem to care. YouTube, I wish it cared,
but they don't.
But I sat through the demonetization of trans people and all of that. And it's just, mental health wise, I left that platform 8 years ago and I moved to Twitch, and I haven't looked back because it's just so much healthier for me.
I won't move from Twitch. I started on Twitch and I tried YouTube, I think, twice, and was like, no, I can't. It's nowhere near as good as Twitch. It's nowhere near as accessible, controllable. Twitch streamers are the ones that I would sit there and go use them, because they're using arguably the most safe platform, the best moderated platform, and Twitch trying to improve.
Yeah, that's not to say that we don't use these things.
No,
I've got a TikTok that I just post clips on, and I'm like, here's my clip, bye, and I will do curated sponsored content, but I have also just gone, here is a clip of me deleting a child in Skyrim that was being a shit. And that's gone viral because I've like just had a small panic afterwards of going, what have I done? But also like there's random Dragon Age conversations about magical fisting.
Yeah.
It's done very well.
Yeah, yes.
Yeah. Well, you know, yeah.
The clips you think aren't going to do well.
No,
This is
exactly.
added value. We want more deleting children. We want more magical fisting. Yes.
It's fine. It was Wraith. She bullies everyone. And she's technically not deleted. She's just turned off so that no one can hear or see her, which is probably for the best.
My best clips are where I take the mick out of myself being visually impaired. And it works because people come in and start asking questions.
Yeah.
And it works. And people go, but that's not good content. And I'm like, it works.
It works.
It's advocacy for me as well. And then it's the right community because I'm bringing in people that have got an interest in someone with a disability. They have empathy. And then at the end of the day, they just want to play games as well. And they want to play your games. And if they find me through that space, they're the decent people you want playing your games and promoting them as well.
And in terms of indies looking for streamers, we've talked a lot about like finding them yourself kind of organically and going for smaller people. But for people who have been kind of tempted by these firms that will broker those relationships or platforms that streamers and indie devs both sign up to broker those relationships, like what are the hot button topics there?
Please don't use them.
Yeah, I'm going to throw a company under the bus. I use Lurkit.
Which one?
Yeah, which one? I use Lurkit. And again, it's numbers. Just recommend that numbers. I work for a company, I'm not going to name them. They've got accessible games. I couldn't get a code for their game because I wasn't big enough and I worked for them as an accessibility consultant.
Yeah, I've worked with indie games. They're like, go apply on Lurkit. And I'm like, doesn't. It was something ridiculous. Like Lurkit was only pulling my past broadcasts. But because I highlight them all out to make it all neat and tidy and make sure none did get deleted, because if you highlight Twitch highlights, they stay forever. It was going, we ain't got nothing. You've got no stats. And it's like, well, that's very flawed. But also the indie dev was like, go apply for it. So in the end, we just didn't bother. But there's also things out there. There's Keymailer.
Yeah.
Keymailer takes quite a lot of money to just spam creators with like I've had codes offered to me for really quite inappropriate contented games. But then also the tags have been wrong. The description has been a game that this company did previously. There's quite a lot of stuff where it's like false flagging. We saw you played this game, and I'm like, I didn't. So, and in addition, you may not also be getting the right reports back. I'm going to throw WeHype under the bus because WeHype, having chatted to a couple of creators in the last 6 months, very, very regularly appears to undercut the amount that they have been given permission to offer to creators. I don't know where that money goes, but I know people who have been missing like $600 out of an offer. And then WeHype has come back. WeHype offered me, I think, what, $150 to play 2 Point Campus for 2 hours, or maybe 3. And it's like, that's wild because I had an existing relationship with Sega that was very good. That is not the price that we ever agreed on. And like when you have stuff like that, it starts to be like, well, who's got this money? Where's this money gone if it's not to the creator, if it's not what the indie developer publisher agreed on? So it's like, if you're going to use these sites, you need to also, I think, check in with the creators.
Yeah.
Go, did you get this? Did you get this amount?
Check the stuff as well a
Yes.
lot of the time because it's too easy on there to, not I wouldn't do it, but it's far too easy on there to just get your game code and then not make any content on it.
Also, if you get results from your mail out key thing, look into them because I also know of a different game where the top 5 results that were given as our like impressions, on these sites was 5 different games that they just clearly like scraped from somewhere. It wasn't even in the right category. So it's like, if you're going to use these sites, please be aware of all the downsides because again, sometimes as well, you can't get the code. You can't get an authentic engagement.
No, with you.
Yeah.
To put it bluntly. Sometimes
as well, yeah, this communication, whatever it is, whether it's nefarious or just the process is messy, means that, yeah, there's something happening in these spaces that we don't know about until you tell us, and then you don't know about until we tell you, but we don't know that that's wrong.
To put it into perspective, if I didn't get your code through Lurkit, for example, and because I haven't got the numbers, but it was accessible, I haven't played that game. I haven't mentioned it on any of my social medias, my streaming platforms, anywhere, but it's accessible. If you then gave me the code 1-to-1 and I will work on it and advertise it as an accessible game, I can tell you now it's going to have more impact on social media than someone doing clickbait, because the people that are seeing my content are disabled, seeing that they're looking for games that are accessible, and they trust me as an advocate and a consultant, and they will go, right, I've seen that on social media, I'll play it, I'll buy it. And that's all down to me not, it won't happen if you're using a site like that says you need 25 concurrent viewers, which I don't have all the time, because I play lots of different games and I talk a lot about accessibility and being disabled, and people don't like that, unfortunately.
I think one of the things that's coming through is how difficult this is for indies to do at volume, and that maybe the answer is not to. Like, the value is in approaching one creator who will do it really, really well.
And quality over quantity.
Yes,
numbers
exactly.
don't mean anything.
I mean, it's also worth noting, like, when we talked about the email outreach thing, like, we're fine with a mail merge.
Yeah,
like, I
it's
literally
not
have had, people go, sorry about the mail merge, sorry about it being impersonal. I don't care. If the email is nicely written and I know it's coming, or maybe I don't know it's coming, fine. So, like, I know a couple of PR companies who are smaller, who do indie, where they have, like, Google Forms. And that is so much better, because also you are not paying a third party to data collect and, you know, maybe not share that with you.
And what's the quality of that? Yeah, data.
Yes. So it's like you're building a contact list your end, but also you can make the forms. It's like, what would you like to do with the game? Tell us your plans. So you have the space within that, like, filling out, give us all your info, to see what kind of idea they had. So it meant you would be able to go, I'm an accessibility consultant.
Yeah, I'm going to bring a different perspective.
Yeah. Like, I ADHD, but I also have, like, a very neurodivergent and queer community in my chat. So, like, 9 times out of 10, if that game is hitting those points, it's like they would love to see this.
Talking of that, let's do these questions, because that's touch on what you've just been saying. How far ahead would you plan on a stream, do you think, for someone who wanted to approach you for a campaign?
How long's a piece of string?
Yeah.
As long as possible in advance.
That, or within reason. Don't come to me at 10 o'clock in the morning and go, can you stream in 2 hours? That's not going to work.
Has it happened?
Be surprised.
But at the same time, if you're like, I'm going to do outreach 6 months in advance, fine. But also we have the memories of Civs.
Yeah,
right?
we do. Content creators are notorious for forgetting things.
So check in like a
check
month
in with
before,
us.
right?
Yeah.
And working with the smaller ones, I don't know if you have got one, but I don't have a manager. I'm my own manager.
no.
I'm my own brand. You come directly to me. You work directly with me. There's no middleman. I'm honest as well. I'm not going to, because I'm not there to take 10% cut off of this person. So I'm going to lie a little bit so I get a bit more money because I'm their agent. That's how they're working. The agent's just there for the money. They're not there to represent the brand. There are agents out there actually, but not all of them are. You're going to deal with agents that are getting a 10% cut, that want that 10% cut to be a bit bigger. And they're going to sit there and not lie through their teeth, but they're going to sit there and go, well, when he streams, he gets this number. Yeah, that's because that's his main game he plays. When he streams maybe a different game because his community isn't based around that game, his numbers are going to drop. But at least I'd be honest with you and say, look, if your game isn't what my community is going to watch, my numbers will be this. If you come to me with a game that my community have an interest in, my numbers will be this. We are more likely to be honest than any agent out there.
Yeah, I just don't give numbers now.
No.
Because number one, you can look them up, but also, like, as I'm on things like the women's shelf, like rotational for the carousel on the front page of Twitch. Like
the women's shelf.
There's a women's shelf.
My God.
The women's shelf, unfortunately, did start in Women's International History Month, or whatever it's called.
Right.
It did unfortunately suffer a small injury early on because Dragon's Dogma 2 launched and everyone got shunted off for the paid promotion.
It can happen any time.
No, it can indeed. Just a bit unfortunate because unfortunately it was mostly straight white dudes playing it.
Cool.
But as a result of that, I just don't do numbers because, like, for example, I just had front page from the Women's Guild as well, because every month they pick different people. So it was my turn. So my numbers are going to be artificially inflated for a bit. So the problem is if people come and they're like, oh, these numbers, it's like, that's not realistic. You've not looked over time. But again, you're so focused on the numbers, you've not looked at why I was there, which is, Women's Guild, Twitch ambassador, event and mentor planning thing for the
piece of advice to community managers: get to know Twitch and how it works. I think as well, because you can, like you said, very easy. Your numbers go up and down for a lot of different reasons. I've not been in a position where it does that because Twitch don't work with disabled content creators at the moment massively. It's Disability also, Pride Month, and there is no, which is something ambassadors are getting.
That's the other thing as well, is like if you're on the front page,
your numbers are going to go.
But also you're not going to have engagements. Like whilst I saw a rise in numbers, I did not see that many like extra chatters. because it's just on in the background. They don't necessarily. In fact, the most that I got was either people coming in to go, "Why have you got the flag of Palestine there?" or "How much have you paid to be on the front page?"
I love that. I used to, when we do a free weekend for our games, and never do I get more death and rape threats than those weekends. So yeah, it's the lesson on volume is the odds are good, but the goods are odd. The people you get through, not necessarily your favorites. What is an entry-level cost for the people who have not engaged as streamer before? Like, what's a reasonable cost? People might not know at all. For a collaboration of just like the simplest kind, what's like a minimum unit of streamness to you?
It depends on what you want.
Yeah.
Like the most simple, like you play the thing.
It's a really hard.
It's really hard. We can't give you that because if I was to give you my cost, that is the cost from before the cost of living changes. But then I also have to bear in mind, like if it's an indie title and they're like, we don't have the budget, which fair play, quite a lot of indies when they're reaching out directly, they're like, we don't have it.
Like a micro team, like 2 or 3 people.
Yeah. So like sometimes I'll be like, all right, I'll drop it because I want to play it anyway. So I will take a massive cut because I'm getting something, but you're getting something. Like there's a mutual thing. And like I have a price list, but I rarely use that price list. I will create a tailored price for what it is you're doing. But what you should be doing, and actually this was discussed in the community managers, or maybe it's the other one that I was in yesterday, the panel that I went to. Like this is the stuff you should be doing in the research stage. Like it shouldn't be that you're waiting until the game's ready to go. You need to be talking to creators early on to work out the budget that you need to put aside for this stuff. Because also then it gives you more time to talk to creators, to build this authentic list. But like I would say that at the bare minimum, you should be paying more than the living wage. Yeah. Like just that's not a big ask. But you'd be surprised at how many. But
you'd be surprised then at how little it might be. Like you feel as an indie, you know, you're a tiny team. Maybe you have a grant or some kind of money you've got. You think, Christ, what's the best way I can spend this money? And it might well be, you know what, I have £500. I really want to engage a creator. I'm just going to ask.
Yeah. And the other thing as well is because of sites like WeHype and all of this that have undercut creators, creators, and especially small creators or new creators, they don't understand what's going on. They will often feel obligated to take it because it's better than nothing. And then that means they undervalue themselves for the next deal, and it continues and it continues and continues.
It's the race to the bottom, not only for the people.
It's literally a race to the bottom at the moment.
For the content as well.
So like, please, if you can, be open with a creator up front about things like budget, what you had in mind for them.
What you be open about as well. What do you want from us?
Yeah, what deliverables? Because I did a really awesome deal recently with AMD. Very, very lucky. Thank you, AMD. Basically have a new PC that hopefully won't die for 4 years. Woo. Because that was not going to be an affordable upgrade. Like it was going to happen this year, and I don't know where I would have found the money otherwise. But there they came and they're like, right, hi, we want to give you this CPU. We'll throw in the motherboard and RAM because they all work together. But we're going to need this from you for a deliverable. How much is that? Can you itemize it and also give us a thing? And I think I was like, look, if you do all of these, I'll take off X amount of money. We'll do a discount.
You're giving me a PC.
Yeah. Right.
You're going to,
looking at you like, where's my contact for these people?
And bless them. Like they came back and were like, could you do a couple of Instagram stories as well? What's the price for those? And I was like, okay, we've got spare budget. Fine. But it was like there was a communication 2 ways. This took months, by the way, for various reasons, including them being quite busy. But that engagement started, like, I think back in March. And then the sales that we were advertising these CPUs for was in June, right? So that was a long lead. It did also involve getting the parts to me, but a really long lead intentionally so that we could make sure it all worked.
This is an example that with a content creator that I did for Mask of the Rose, which was I approached Stipendium in the January of last year to write a song about Mask of the Rose. So it's very much creating something, you know, that doesn't involve playing. But it took us 7 months, and it was the most expensive thing that we did for that game, but it was the best possible thing we could have done for that game. Stoops was able to go off and buy new equipment, new lights. This is what I mean about watering the ground. You got a new PC. Like that's the point. Like we were all on the same team. We're all in this together as independent creators, so we can make 100%. It like good for one another. And then we made a musical called Neath, which is like 12 minutes long because Stoops really fell in love with the game. And I went and I was in it, and then I've been in another one of theirs since that hasn't come out. Like it's part of like being in that community and making like mutual exchange. It's so like, it's actually what makes my job interesting and rewarding, is not necessarily like posting tweets, which gets less and less rewarding actually. So like in terms of an exciting campaign, you're saying that you want people to come to you with ideas.
Yeah.
Like,
and
what is the most exciting thing you've done like in the last year that you thought was really fun, or like just to seed ideas with people? You've done tons.
I wish I'd done tons.
Yeah.
It's definitely dried up. It's noticeably dried up in the last few years.
the last 18 months for me, I started 2 years ago streaming. In the first 6 months, things were moving, and then these websites came out.
Yeah.
To put it bluntly, these websites came out, and everyone was, even the teams companies I was working with at the time, were going, right, we now want to Lurk it. You need to apply. And like I said, I was working for them as an accessibility consultant. When they said you need to apply for your code through Lurk it, I had to message them and say, my numbers aren't big enough because I can't apply for the code on a game that I've actually helped you develop.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think obviously things like Brexit haven't helped either,
Yeah.
because what is the UK's biggest entertainment export? It's gaming. Can we get the devs to stay? No. Do I blame them? No. So yeah, it's all a mixed bag. It all feeds into itself. You're right. I'm trying to think of any.
I'm trying to think of unusual.
I mean, for the launch of Some of the Skies, which was a while back now, we did a charity challenge, the 10K stream challenge. So it came from a conundrum of like, we know this is a really streamable thing because people have loved streaming Some of the Sea and reading the stories, but we have no way to reach lots of people to do that all at once. So we made a £10,000 target, and for every minute of Some of the Skies that was streamed in the first 24 hours after launch, we gave £1 to Special Effect, which was the charity our community voted in. And we got out of that, because loads of people saw it, picked up on it, we actually had 24,000 minutes of content streamed in the first day. So that, like, it was something that I really wanted to, like, I had a small budget. I had £10,000 basically for that whole launch. So I wanted to make it go as far as possible. And that's kind of the solution we had at the time. And bringing in the charitable aspect to it, like, made that kind of palatable to everybody.
Yep.
And then we also have done where we had the launch of Some of the Skies, and you were able to stream on the Steam page for the game, which is a really interesting proposition.
It's a nightmare from a stream
But it's a nightmare.
It's a pain in the butt, right?
Yeah, this is it. So I paid Fuzzy Freaks, who's a wonderful streamer, was really into Some of the Sea. She decided she'd be able to stream Skies for us. But because we were taking her from her own channel and her regular hours, she streamed live on our store page for a whole weekend, and we paid for each stream as like an individual like shift, if you like. But that's like one person specific focus. And the main reason we wanted to remunerate her for like really properly was because she couldn't then work on her own stuff at that time. But streaming on the Steam page is like, wow, it's really, if you don't have that when you're going live now, just as like a developer stream even, it's like,
the permissions to even get it working is a pain in the butt, because I've had it where it's like, it's been set up, or we did one, we were going to go, it was going to go live, it's going to be great. Steam page is down for maintenance.
cool.
Unscheduled maintenance, or no, scheduled maintenance, and no one told anybody. And it's just like, well, like, what do I do? The other thing you can do if you're like, oh, Steam page is a nightmare, like, I've done stuff before where I've either like simulcast it to Steam, because technically it's allowed now on Twitch anyway.
You can.
But you could also just buy the VOD. Like, I've done it before where I have streamed it on Twitch and said to my community, we're going to put that this is going to be on Steam VOD. So like, don't be weird. They can't, like, my chat, you can't see chat. I hide it, but like,
yeah, I don't have one.
Just like, behave yourselves. It's just for once. Behave yourselves. Don't swear.
Don't be inappropriate or anything like that.
And then as soon as that's over, they're like, right, let's go.
Yeah.
Right?
And was that a game that you were going to play anyway, or a game that you've been engaged to play?
I think it might have been a little bit of both, to be honest. Like, there's been a couple where what I've done is I've gone, well, I'll give you the VOD afterwards. You can use it, because you're also paying for like rights in perpetuity for this content creator, their face.
Yeah.
Like, so I'll usually go, look, you get the VOD, do whatever you want with it. Like, the agreement will be put on Steam, use it for socials. Like, I don't care what you do with that, because you've paid me to do whatever. So like, if you're like, Steam Live is a nightmare, especially because you have to give permissions to the creator then has to like try and make Steam work. You could also just stream at your end and pay for the VOD. and just have a like, this is a replay.
That's awesome. I think that's if you find an organic stream that was really cool, maybe you could ask the creator.
Yes, I know people who have had then outreach from indie studios who've gone, can we buy it from you?
Top tip to finish on, because I've just had a wave that we've actually used all of our time. Talk about asking for questions and then just talking. Do we have time to do one question, or are we? Yeah. Did anybody have a pressing question? I think we can all hang around afterwards a bit to talk.
Yeah,
more if
I've
you
not
want
got
to.
too long, but yeah.
Anything for the room? Anything burning? Yep.
Just your favourite streamers.
There'll be a mic for the sake of the recording. Dun, 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 dun. That's right, mic jog, classic conference bit of business.
Thank you. So, it was so interesting. Yeah, just to invite or to ask for some recommendations. I don't watch much content creation stuff, so your favorite streamers, and in particularly streamers from the disability and like diverse communities, would love to hear.
Radders, easy.
You took my
Radders.
answer.
I'm so sorry.
That's not fair. Sightless Combat, if you've heard of him, for me. Sightless Combat for me.
So yeah, Radders with 2 S's, and then
Sightless Combat,
with a
as
K.
in sights, SIGHT,
And then,
combat with a K.
Yeah, as in like Mortal Kombat.
Yep.
So those 2, awesome. But then there's also folks like Laura Kate Dale,
Yep.
Arevia, who are 2 accessibility consultants.
Yeah,
like,
there's loads.
So many
If you're looking for disabled content creators, there's lots out there. If you follow them, do the plug. If you follow me on Twitter, you'll see, because I retweet about them all the time and stuff like that.
Yep.
Yeah.
And look at stuff like Can I Play That? Right?
Yeah,
because that's something like they do podcasts, they do interviews. You will meet other accessibility, either consultants or creators, like just naturally through those.
Yeah.
I have to recommend as well our friend Shaz Shanghari,
Yes.
who Matt stepped in for
Yep.
at the last minute, because thanks to the inaccessibility of events in the South and the cost of being developed, they weren't able to make it. So thank you to Matt, especially for coming instead of Shaz. But Shaz is an incredible artist, streamer. They were on Games Master when it came back. So cool. The most incredible looks and the most, it plays lots of like Sonic and lots of games that I really enjoy. But yeah, that'd be my recommendation. Grand. Any more for any more? Should we cut it off, or should we? I think maybe we'll talk a little bit afterwards, if that's okay.
Mike is coming out.
All right, thank you all so very much. Thank you to my
do one more.
panelists. Oh,
We technically have 2, but maybe we're really quick.
Yeah, we'll try to be quick. Can we
If
do
not,
that?
we'll just do it.
Yeah, we'll do a quick one after. Yeah.
just there. Thank you.
Are there any kind of like centralized databases for like indie content developers to just know kind of a few main genres and maybe like any specializations in their audience?
I would do that by looking up games.
Yeah.
I would go in, look for similar games to what you want to make.
Well, some of the things
And then
that I do
people-
are like kind of separated, like because I'm in like freelance indie, they're kind of all over the place in terms of genres, and some of them are quite niche. And because I'm not in the content creation side or the marketing side of it, sometimes it'd be nice to just kind of search through like 2D strategy games or something, which is people I don't watch enough to know every genre to cover. And some people I know.
Yeah, as I say, you go into whatever platform you're looking for via Twitch, look for a game that is comparable in feel or genre to something you're making, and see the last few people who played that, and watch a bit of their content and kind of see who they raid and who they've got in common.
I was just about to say, see
Because-
who they raid.
Yeah,
Raiding?
Yeah,
is-
raid's a
Also,
good
who
way.
do they recommend you watch if they're offline? That sort of thing, because that's something people have chosen to add. I would say like the top 3 games that match your game is kind of, because it depends on what the game is, but obviously nowadays with indie we have like, roguelike, but also this, but also this, but also this.
Yeah.
So it might be that like the roguelike element of it is very like one game, but also this is something else. So you might end up going, actually, these 3 games are the closest to what this is. I'm going to go over to Sully Gnome. Like that's kind of the best place to like find the stats to then go on to Twitch, because you can have the names and then you can be like, who's part of their stream team? That's another thing. Look at stream teams.
Stream
So they're
teams are amazing.
basically kind of friendship groups.
Yeah.
So again, it's like by association. But yeah, like so for me, I've been doing like top 3 like games are closest to. And I think that's kind of it depends. Some games you'll be like, oh bang, it's totally this. But also you potentially put yourself into a niche if you're only going, we're like bang. If you say, it's a Souls like, okay, great. What does that mean? You know? It's got to be a Souls-like and something else.
Yeah.
Cross-pollination.
Yeah.
And any database like that would just be so stale so quickly because people come and go so quickly because it's such a hard thing to maintain for themselves.
Oh yeah. Burn out.
Yeah. Go to what's live on Twitch. Yeah. Right. Thank you so much, everybody, for coming. Thank you to my panelists. Really hope you enjoy the rest of the conference. Thanks, Del.